Hello Huskies and welcome back to the My GBC podcast. My name is Arantxa and on this podcast we tackle the question that you have as a student about everything from academic support to mental health in order to help you to be successful at college and beyond. Today we're going to talk about mental health. As classes carry on through life changes, financial uncertainty, or coursework stress, we all become vulnerable to the effect that this has on our mental health. But what we can do about it? Are we stuck? How we can manage? Well, luckily, I have George Brown Counselor, Natasha, with me here today. Welcome, Natasha. How are you today?
I'm great. Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you. So before we get into deeper questions, can you please let me know a bit about yourself and about counseling services?
Yeah, so I'm Natasha. I'm a counselor here at George Brown, and I've been with the college for 4 years. So counseling is a place where all students are welcome. College is tough, and we're here to support students along the way. And there's really no wrong door. So if there's something that you're struggling with, please come see us. Like even if we're not your final destination, we can always help you get connected with resources in and outside of the college.
So when students come to you for an appointment, what do you find that are the most common issues that they bring up to you?
Students come in with so many different concerns. College is like a really challenging time because it's a transition period in like many different domains of someone's life, right? There's a lot of uncertainty for students. So sometimes folks come in because they're feeling overwhelmed with the workload, or maybe they're struggling to manage difficult interactions with their peers or their professors. And I think we've had a lot of students come in over the past couple of years in particular because they're feeling really lonely and disconnected, and they're struggling with the virtual learning environment, which is like unfortunate, but also makes a lot of sense because I think the pandemic has been tough for all of us, but especially for students because like when you're a student, you're already like there's so much uncertainty and instability and so many things are like in flux. And so then when there's this global uncertainty happening and disconnection from supports that maybe you were relying on previously to keep you afloat, it can like really be destabilizing and really cause people issues.
It actually is, because sometimes you feel that you are not connected, because even here online you can see the people, but there is not like that connection maybe. So sometimes for you, if you're a shy person, it makes you feel like, okay, how can I talk with them? So these maybe make you feel like more disconnected as usual, right?
Yeah, definitely. Like it's really not the same. I think in the beginning of the pandemic, we all tried to like delude ourselves that like virtual stuff was the same, but it's really not the same. And you have to be so much more intentional and like effortful about connecting virtually than you would in person. And still, even when you are intentional and you put the effort in, it still doesn't really like totally scratch that itch, I think, for a lot of people. So
yeah, that's
like we have people just feeling, like really, really like disconnected, like really lonely and dealing with things that are challenging without their supports. And that's hard.
And I think it's like that beside to all the work that you need to do at college, like with your courses. So it's a lot of things that you need to handle.
Yeah.
So maybe instead of being a help, maybe it's putting you like a little bit like down than usual.
Definitely.
So it makes a lot of sense. So I found a video online of George Brown students from the last year talking about how they deal with their mental health issues. And I wanted to play it here for you.
Talking about my feeling with family and especially friends will help me to stay in a good mental health.
If my mental health is suffering, I try to talk it out with my family or my close friends.
The number one thing that I prefer to do is to go on a simple walk without my phone.
I take a nap, I talk to my parents, or I call a close friend to talk to them about how I feel.
I love ordering my favorite food when I know that I'm not feeling well mentally.
I find it helpful to have a conversation with someone that I trust about what I'm struggling with.
I like to watch something funny, and I also think creating some kind of art.
I like to also work out when I'm feeling a little anxious because physical activity tends to help me improve my moods.
I like to meditate and think about life and just how to improve.
What do you think about these strategies?
So there are so many great strategies in this video. One thing that I love I love the student who mentions that she talks things out with someone that she trusts. I think this is like a really fantastic idea. If there's something on your mind that's worrying you, like those thoughts and feelings often feel a lot more distressing when they're just like rattling around inside your brain. So talking to somebody that you love can be like really helpful, not just with problem solving and getting like an outside perspective, but also just like in like saying those words out loud, like putting it out into the universe, like you kind of remind yourself that you're not alone, and you open up a conversation that oftentimes, like when you start talking about these difficult, vulnerable things, people will like share their own experiences, and it will help you realize that you're not the only person like who struggles with things in your life or in college.
I think you said a very like good thing, like being not alone. Like sometimes you think you are the only one struggling with something related, maybe with college or outside college, just life. So I think it's very important to do it in a safe way. If you feel that you have that connection with someone and you know that person can help you, why not? Like you are not alone. You have a common ground. Maybe you have some things to talk with them.
Yeah.
So I think it's very important to know that.
Yeah, I think so too. I think it takes a lot of bravery, and I think that doing it is usually a helpful thing. Another tip in that video that I really loved, one of the students talked about meditating and taking a walk without the phone, and I thought that was a really awesome tip. So I think like when we're feeling spun up, it's really natural like to want to like numb out and escape from what you're feeling. And this tends to work really well actually in the short term. Like it kind of like gives you some relief from the feelings, but in the long term, those feelings like that you're avoiding, they don't really go anywhere, right? Like you're scrolling on the phone, feel a little bit better maybe, but the feelings like that you're trying to escape from, they're still there. And so what ends up happening is like they build up inside you and then eventually they explode. So doing something mindfully, it can increase discomfort, just like talking to a friend. In the short term, it can increase discomfort. It can be a hard thing to do, but it's really effective in reducing stress in the long term because it gives you an opportunity to like face your feelings, process them, move through them, and problem solve. So I think it's kind of like if you're doing things mindlessly, it's like you're trying to like navigate a room with the lights turned off, right? You're going to bump into furniture. It's going to be difficult for you. But when you do something mindfully, you turn the lights on. So that doesn't mean you're going to like what you see. Maybe you hate the room. Like maybe the room is all cluttered and it causes you a lot of stress. But when you can see it clearly, then you have an opportunity to declutter, to make some changes, and also to prevent yourself from bumping into things.
Yeah, to make it better. Like I remember like to improve yourself because sometimes you are just avoiding some stuff. Like maybe if you're scrolling, you're avoiding what you were thinking before. But in the moment you are still having that issue, right? Because you're just avoiding those thoughts. And I remember one of the things that I used to do, and I'm still doing it right now. I have like a mindful bell that it's ringing like every 20 minutes to remind myself I'm in the present and there is something around me that I really like. So in that moment, you are like, maybe you are thinking about many things, many problems, courses, deadlines, and all this stuff. In that moment, you are like, okay, I'm present, I'm here, I like this, I'm watching something that I really like. And you are like, okay, let's try to go down again and let's keep everything good and clear.
Yeah. I love that idea so much, having a mindful bell. Like that is such a fantastic idea. I've never done that. I'm going to start doing that. I'm sure there's like an app or something. Fantastic idea. Because it can be so easy, right? Like especially with the scrolling, like you just get sucked into it. Doing things mindlessly, you just get sucked into it. And so like having some sort of reminder, like that you're present at regular intervals throughout your day. Love it.
It is amazing because actually sometimes you can be scrolling and you never like even realize that you were doing that. So it's like, okay, they bring you again to the present and look for something that you really like. That is the way that lately I'm doing it to make me feel better about everything around myself. So it's like a nice tip too.
I love it. I love it. We're talking about like avoiding and distracting, like it's this horrible thing. And another actually like strategy that was mentioned in that video is distraction. So like a couple students talked about like watching something funny or taking a nap. And I just want to say that I think that distractions like this can actually be awesome. They're like little mini vacations. They work particularly well when you can't tackle the problem for some reason. So maybe it's like out of your hands, or maybe you're feeling overwhelmed, but like you don't have time in that moment to problem solve, right? So maybe you have to study, like you have a deadline coming up, you have to study, but something is just like spinning you up. You don't have time to turn the lights on, process your feelings, problem solve. Doing something to take a little mini vacation to like take your mind off of it, great idea. You just have to be sure, I think, like that you have other tools in your toolkit so that you can eventually come back to what's bothering you when you do have time. Process it and find a solution so that you'll feel better in the long term. I think.
That's also very important, because sometimes like maybe you don't have the time to do all that because you need to meet some deadlines.
Yeah.
So talking about mental health has been a taboo in the past. Although it's getting more acceptable now, if I don't know much about it, how can I tell that when I might be needing some support with my mental health?
That's like such a good question. It's different for everyone, but there are some things that you can look out for. So like you might notice yourself maybe feeling like more physically tense than usual. So sometimes like people will find that their shoulders are like creeping up. Maybe they're having pains in places they don't usually have pains. Your sleep and your appetite might be impacted. So you might be like sleeping or eating either more than you usually do or less than you usually do. You might also, like we talked about, like escaping with the scrolling. So you notice yourself like doing more of those like comforting, like escape avoiding type things more frequently. So maybe like you're procrastinating your schoolwork. You're scrolling on TikTok for hours on end. You might be like using substances more than you usually do. Your energy levels might be impacted. So maybe you're feeling like really hyped up, like really nervous, on edge, irritable, or maybe you're feeling like exhausted. Yeah, so like it's different for every person, but like you really do know yourself best. And so if something is feeling off in your inner world and you're not quite sure what's going on, like please come have a conversation with us. Like we can help you sort through it and figure it out together. You don't have to be alone.
So I think it's almost like see how you're feeling, and if you notice something that is not the regular on you, in that moment you should like start looking for some help. So what if I don't want to talk to an official person at GBC? Are there other people or organizations that can help me?
Definitely. So if you don't want to talk to a professional, maybe you'd rather talk to like a peer who's been through like things like the things that you're struggling with in the past. There's a few different options. There's Together All, which is a virtual peer-to-peer mental health community online available 24/7. The Beanbag Chat app offered through Stella's Place, so you can chat anonymously. You don't, if like you're feeling like that'll make you feel a little bit more comfortable opening up for the first time. And there's also WeConnect. So WeConnect provides 24/7 virtual telephone counseling in multiple languages to students worldwide. So that's an option too.
That sounds amazing, and also it's nice to remind that we're not alone. So you have a lot of support. You just need to reach out, because there is people who wants to help you, who wants to listen to you as well.
Yeah, definitely. You're not alone. So like if something is bugging you, no matter how big or how small, like please come talk to us. We're here to support you.
Thank you, Natasha. Thank you very much for coming today and to talk with me about this. I think was a very vulnerable conversation. I really like all the things that we talk here. It's very important to take care of all mental health. So I'm grateful that you were here today.
Thank you so much. It was my pleasure.
Do you find doing school online to be hard on your mood and overall health? Here are some tips. Plan to spend at least 30 minutes a day on self-care activity, something that you like and you love to do. For example, getting lost in a book, taking a walk in the park. Know when to enlist help. If you listen to our previous conversation, you may have better sense of when to reach out to a counselor, psychologist, or mental health too. Get plenty of sleep. At least 6 to 8 hours each night is recommended. Last-minute all-nighters can be avoided with enough planning ahead of time, and there are time management tips on George Brown online learning site. Thank you for joining us today. We hope some of this episode has been useful for you. Please join us on the next time for more topics that can help you on your journey through the college. Till then, have a great week.